November 24th, 1971. The day before Thanksgiving. Somewhere over the Pacific Northwest, a man jumped out of a plane with $200,000 in cash in the middle of a rainstorm at night and was never seen again. This is the only unsolved hijacking in American aviation history, and after 50 years, we still don't know who he was. It's the afternoon of November 24th, 1971. Portland International Airport, Oregon. The airport is packed. It's the day before Thanksgiving, one of the busiest travel days of the year. People are rushing. Families, businessmen, holiday travelers. Nobody is paying attention to the man standing quietly at the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He's wearing a dark suit, a black tie, sunglasses. He's calm, almost too calm. He pays cash for a one-way ticket. Flight 305, Portland to Seattle. A short 30-minute hop. He gives his name as Dan Cooper. Nobody questions it. Nobody looks twice. He boards the plane, and the world will never be the same. Flight 305 takes off at 2:50 p.m. 36 passengers on board. 6 crew members. The plane levels out at cruising altitude. Everything seems completely normal. Then, a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner notices something. The man in seat 18C, Dan Cooper, is holding out a note. Florence assumes it's a phone number. A lonely businessman trying his luck. She ignores it. Cooper leans over and says quietly, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Florence stops. Her blood runs cold. She takes the note. She reads it. It says, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit next to me." Florence sits down, hands shaking. She looks at Cooper. He opens his briefcase slightly. She sees wires, red cylinders, something that looks very much like a bomb. Whether it was real or not, nobody was willing to find out. Florence relays the situation to the cockpit. Captain William Scott gets on the radio. Within minutes, the FBI is involved. Cooper's demands are specific, precise, almost rehearsed. $200,000 in cash, $20 bills. For parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve. A fuel truck ready to refuel the plane in Seattle. And he wants the plane to fly to Mexico City. After landing, the authorities agree. They always agree, because they have no choice. The plane circles Seattle for 2 hours, while the FBI scrambles to gather the money, while agents photograph every single bill. Serial numbers recorded, all $200,000 of it. The parachutes are delivered. The money is loaded. Cooper releases all 36 passengers. And then, he tells the crew, "Now, we fly." It's now dark outside. The plane takes off from Seattle at 7:40 p.m. Destination, Mexico City. But the crew has secret instructions from the FBI. Fly slow, fly low, maximum altitude, 10,000 feet. Landing gear down, flaps at 15 degrees. The plane is deliberately sluggish, like a wounded bird dragging through the storm. 2 F-106 fighter jets are scrambled, trailing the plane in the darkness. Watching, waiting. Inside the cabin, it's just Cooper and the crew now. The flight attendant is ordered to stay in the cockpit. Cooper is alone in the back, with $200,000, with 4 parachutes, with a plan that nobody, not the FBI, not the pilots, not anyone, could figure out. At approximately 8:13 p.m., a warning light goes off in the cockpit. The rear air stair, a unique feature of the Boeing 727, has been activated. It can be opened from inside the plane. While in flight, the pilot gets on the intercom. "Is there anything we can do for you?" Cooper's voice comes back calm, almost bored. "No." At 8:24 p.m., the crew feels a sudden change in pressure. a shift in the plane's tail. And then, nothing. Silence. When the plane lands in Reno, Nevada for refueling, the rear staircase is open. The parachute harness is on the seat. 2 of the 4 parachutes are still there. The money is gone. And Dan Cooper is gone. Somewhere over the dark forests of southwest Washington, a man had jumped into a freezing rainstorm, at night, at 10,000 feet, in a business suit, with $200,000 strapped to his body, and vanished. Let's think about what Cooper jumped into. The temperature outside that plane was -7 degrees Celsius. The wind was howling at over 150 miles per hour. Below him, complete darkness. No lights, no roads visible. Just endless miles of dense Pacific Northwest forest. The Columbia River running through it like a black vein. No experienced skydiver would choose these conditions. No professional would jump into that. Which means one of 2 things. Either Cooper was incredibly skilled, or incredibly desperate, or maybe he never expected to survive. The FBI launched what would become one of the longest investigations in American history. Code name, Norjack. Northwest hijacking. Hundreds of agents deployed. The suspected jump zone, a 25-mile radius over southwest Washington, was searched. On foot, by helicopter, by military units. For weeks, then months, they found nothing. No body, no parachute, no money, no trace of Dan Cooper. Anywhere. The FBI had almost nothing to go on. A name, Dan Cooper, that turned out to be fake. A physical description from the crew. Mid-40s, around 6 feet tall. Dark complexion, brown or black eyes. Well-groomed, calm under pressure. Wore a dark business suit and a black tie. Smoked Rexford cigarettes. Ordered bourbon and soda. Knew exactly how the 727's rear stairs worked. And crucially, he knew what kind of parachute to ask for. He asked for a specific military-grade chute. Not a sport parachute. A military one. That tells investigators something important. This man had training. Real training. He wasn't just some desperate criminal. He knew exactly what he was doing. Or at least, he thought he did. For 9 years, nothing. Then, in February 1980, a young boy named Brian Ingram is on a family picnic on the banks of the Columbia River, near Vancouver, Washington. He's digging in the sand, and he pulls out something strange, a rotting bundle of $20 bills, held together by a rubber band, partially buried, partially decomposed. $5,800 in total. The serial numbers match. It's Cooper's money. The FBI is electrified. Finally, a clue. But the clue raises more questions than it answers. How did the money get there? Was Cooper's body somewhere nearby? Did he drown in the Columbia River? Or did someone else put it there? Investigators search the riverbank for miles. Nothing else is ever found. Just those bills, quietly rotting in the sand. For 9 years. Over the decades, the FBI investigated over 1,000 suspects. Let's look at the most serious ones. Richard McCoy. For months after Cooper's jump, McCoy hijacked another plane, using almost identical methods. He even demanded parachutes and cash. McCoy was a Vietnam veteran, trained paratrooper. He was caught, convicted, and later killed during a prison escape. The FBI initially thought he was Cooper, but McCoy had a solid alibi for Thanksgiving 1971. His family confirmed he was home. Case closed. Maybe. Kenneth Christensen, a former paratrooper and Northwest Orient Airlines employee. He knew the planes. He knew the routes. His brother came forward after his death saying, "He told me he had done something that nobody would ever be able to prove." Investigators found he had made a large cash purchase shortly after the hijacking. but the FBI ruled him out. He was too short, too old, and there was no hard evidence. L.D. Cooper, a man whose niece came forward in 2011, claiming her uncle had confessed to being D.B. Cooper on his deathbed. The FBI tested DNA from a DNA sample belonging to L.D. Cooper. Results were inconclusive. The case remained open. Over 1,000 suspects. 0 convictions. 0 certainty. The man in seat 18C remains unknown. The biggest question of all. Did Dan Cooper survive the jump? Most experts say probably not. The conditions were brutal. Freezing temperatures. 0 visibility. Dense forest below. Even an experienced paratrooper would struggle. And Cooper jumped with the wrong parachute. One of the reserves he took was a training chute. Sewn shut. Non-functional. Either he didn't know, or he didn't care. Some investigators believe he died on impact. His body swallowed by the forest, or the river, never to be found. But others aren't so sure, because nobody has ever found a body. And in cases like this, no body means no certainty. What if he made it? What if Dan Cooper landed safely in that dark forest, buried the parachute, buried most of the money, walked out to a road, hitchhiked to the nearest town, and quietly disappeared into ordinary life? Some investigators believe this is exactly what happened. The man was too calm, too prepared. He knew the plane's mechanics. He knew the geography. He chose a jump zone that was specifically hard to search. Dense trees, no roads, a river nearby to wash away tracks. This wasn't random. This was planned. And if he survived, he lived out the rest of his life as someone else entirely. A neighbor, coworker, a grandfather, someone who smiled quietly every Thanksgiving, remembering the night he jumped into history. The $5,800 found in 1980 raises one final haunting question. If Cooper survived and walked away with the money, why was any of it in the river? 3 possible answers. 1. He died near the river and the money washed downstream for years. 2. He crossed the river and lost part of the bundle in the current. 3. Someone else found the money before 1980 and dumped part of it. Nobody knows. After 50 years of investigation, nobody knows. In July 2016, the FBI officially suspended active investigation into the D.B. Cooper case. After 45 years, citing a need to redirect resources, the file was moved to inactive status, but never officially closed. Because officially, the case remains open. The hijacking of Flight 305 is still, to this day, the only unsolved case of air piracy in American aviation history. Every other hijacker was caught. Every single one. Except him. Here's what's fascinating about D.B. Cooper. He never hurt anyone. The passengers were released unharmed. The crew was treated respectfully. He was polite, even charming. He ordered drinks. He tipped the flight attendant. In a strange way, America fell in love with him. He became a folk hero, the ultimate underdog, a nobody who outwitted the entire FBI. There are bars named after him, annual festivals in the Pacific Northwest, movies, books, documentaries. People dress as him for Halloween, because somewhere deep down, we all want to believe the little guy can win, that someone out there beat the system, walked away clean, and lived to tell the tale, even if he never told it. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, there may be a grave with no name, or there may be an old man who smiles every November 24th, and never tells anyone why. The money is rotting. The parachute is gone. The plane has long since been scrapped. But the mystery of the man in seat 18C, lives on. Dan Cooper, whoever you were, wherever you are, you won.